Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I will be doing the Walmart horror story by myself this week. Things couldn't get arranged in time with my friend, so I'll do a solo one, which I could probably have my friends cooperate because we all pretty much live through the same crap at Walmart. And names will be changed to protect the insane. And alright, let's dive into this little thing here. Okay, let's set the scene here. Walmarts have a back room where they unload the trucks. Used to be called, I don't know what they call it now. They used to call it the dance floor because when you're setting up to unload the truck, it has to be should be completely clear of any freight, any pallets, anything like that. Should be pretty much empty space. And then you line up pallets along the wall. To preface this, our Walmart is very unusual. Our back room is not shaped or laid out the way most back rooms are now. So if you work at a Walmart and it sounds like this is a very odd back room, trust me, it is. Anyway, we were unloading the truck where we pull a line that has, at the time, it was not a powered line. It wasn't automatic or anything like that. We literally had to push all of the items throughout the line to its various positions along the line. Whoever was in that general area would take the freight off, put it on with the rest of its department's freight, or in the case of grocery, it's aisle's freight, since grocery is done by aisle, not by department, since grocery is a giant department in itself. But we had a coworker who I am going to call the troll, because this man looks incredibly similar to like an under the bridge troll. Like that's not an exaggeration. This man looked like he walked out from under a bridge and has lived there his entire life. Okay. The troll he's there, all there mentally, but some people say his heart's in the right spot. I mean, I guess, but the way he goes about doing some things and general social skills, things like that, dear God, it drove pretty much everybody else that worked with him absolutely insane. And originally, he was on the cash registers. They supposedly took him off the cash registers because he made a multi-$1,000 mistake. And since he has some mental deficiencies, they didn't want to just fire him because they could probably get backlash. Plus, they get a tax break for keeping people like that on. Because, I mean, yeah, they're giving them jobs when other places wouldn't. But he made that mistake. Then they were like, okay, let's send him in the back room, one of the most physically demanding and fast-paced jobs in Walmart at the time. This was before OGP. OGP is a very fast-paced job in pretty much any spot you're working, really. At least when I was there. I don't know how it is now. I don't really care either. They do what they want. So we have the troll back with us now. And he's as I stated, he's a very troll-like person, very rotund, which would be a nice way of saying it. And obviously he was not fast. And I'm okay with people not being fast as long as other people aren't expected to double their pace to keep up with the lack of the other person's pace. That is a very big pet peeve of mine. Always has been, always will be. But that's me. Whatever. So this man, well, it's a man. It's a troll. So the troll is working with us, and there was a day where it was a very rough day. I believe we had 2 trucks that day. Those are always the worst days unless you're a bigger store than us and you have 2 trucks daily or 3 trucks. I feel very sorry. Not sorry, but I actually feel sympathy for people that are in that situation. And I'm not usually sympathetic about much of anything towards other people, but since I lived through it, I know what our store had to go through and our team had to go through. You may have my sympathy on that. But he's a very big Star Wars fan, which I am too, but he's the kind of Star Wars fan that ruins it for anyone else. So he has to try and relate anything that is going on to Star Wars. And that's not what I do. I love the movies, but everything I do and say isn't a quote from the movies. I mean, to each his own, but plus we had a lot of things to do. We don't really have, since he was slower, he didn't really have the time to quote Star Wars while actually taking things off of the line and putting them where they belong. But excuse me. After we unload the truck, we go to our, usually, depending on the day, we would go to our first break, which would be 15 minutes. We'd go in the break room, cool off, or warm up, depending on the weather. And we would come back, and I believe at the time we were taking the consumable departments, which would be health and beauty, pharmacy, pets, infants, chemicals, paper, and all the rest of grocery. We would take all that stuff to the floor because we would start working the freight to the shelf, labeling the overstock, and taking it back. That's basically what our entire job was at the time. This was maybe 4 years ago? Maybe 5? Maybe 3? Somewhere between 5 and 3 years ago? But the troll was taking a very not well stacked skid of something out. I can't remember what it was. I was still in the back room doing what we call break packs, which the smaller stuff that they usually don't order an entire case of, comes in what they're called break packs. And honestly, it was mostly pharmacy, health and beauty, pets, the smaller stuff, like pill bottles, and like the Walmart has the Spring Valley vitamins and stuff, that kind of stuff. If they couldn't order, or even if they could, since it doesn't actually come in a package sometimes, it comes in a break pack. So we sort that out by department and by aisle, and that, depending on how many we get per truck, that can take a long time. And at the time, I was one of the faster people at it. Not to toot my own horn. I mean, it's Walmart. It doesn't take that much to be fast at something like that. It's honestly just repetition and being insane and staying in one place for 8 years. That's really all that is. But this, I was there doing the brake packs. He had the skid of unstable stuff, and he must have recently watched Rogue One because he was quoting it for about 5 minutes while he attempted to take the pallet to the floor. He would say, "I am one with the Force is with me." He said that for about 5 minutes straight as he was trying to not topple over the skid throughout the back room. And the day was already bad enough. It just struck me wrong. It was... oh. And his voice is very nasally, so it didn't even sound like a good... I don't know if he was aiming to impersonate the guy that said that in the movie, but if you worked with him enough, the sound of his voice would make you cringe pretty hard. Pretty dang hard. And he makes it out there, and there was another person there that also likes Star Wars. I told them what he was doing, and they looked at me, and I believe they said, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah." He just did that. I unfortunately had to hear it and partially see it. And they just kind of shook their head and stood there for a second and went about their business. And I was like, I'm lucky you can leave the back room and not hear everything like I can about that kind of stuff. That's pretty much that story, but a side story, since I am talking about the troll, I had another person I worked with who had the great misfortune of being in the restroom at the same time as the troll. And the troll already towards like babies and children and stuff, the most awkward person I have ever seen around them. Any child he sees, he's like, "Oh, you're a cutie." That depending on what that sounds like when I just recorded it, that sounds probably fairly similar to what this man sounded like. That was pretty much his voice. But my coworker had the misfortune of being in the restroom with him. He literally overheard the troll saying, "Oh, it's okay, I didn't touch that little girl." And he told the small group of people that were decently good friends at the time, told us about that, and there's a couple of them that about just up and quit right then. Because that ain't cool. That implies that someone was saying he did touch a little girl. No touchy little girl. No. That's bad. Can't have that. Of course, management did absolutely nothing because he was slow. He was slow, but he wasn't that slow. He knew his right from wrong. He definitely knew that. Oh my god. I'm getting Walmart flashbacks right now just from even bringing the story up. But yeah, that was just one of the people we had to deal with. He was one of the worst ones to deal with just because of the outlandish things he would say or think was okay to say. Stuff like that. I have a two friends that still work there. It's the one friend that just had a baby. And I know for a fact they will never let their child anywhere near the troll. No, no, no. That is bad news. And as a bonus, if you've made it this far in the video, because it's 15 minutes in, unless I cut some of it down a little bit, but a small preview of most likely the next episode. I moved from the back room to lawn and garden, and in lawn and garden there was a person, and he still works there to this day, who is a convicted sex offender. Of course, he's also kind of slow. Yeah, I didn't think Walmart did that, hired registered sex offenders. Unless they don't care about sex offenders, they're just worried about like actual convicted felons. I don't know, maybe the law's changed, I don't know. But I would think that would show up on a background report. And I think that would at least send some red flags to somebody at Walmart HR. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't hire a registered sex offender. But that will be more than likely the next episode. And I greatly appreciate anyone who watches this to the end. Have an awesome day. Hit like and do all the YouTube stuff, bells, notifications, all that if you feel so inclined. There's no pressure to do so. But thank you, and rock on.